30. Holy shit. Okay, good morning, everybody.
31.
It's amazing how fast that clock runs out when you're still working on show prep. So, and show prep kind of. We were discussing it, right up until that last second. So good morning, everybody. Weird, Mario. I see a couple of people already making comments in the live chat, but the viewer numbers aren't rolling in yet. So we'll be keeping an eye on those. Certain benchmarks we're looking for on Rumble in particular to try and give away a few free memberships this morning. If you are watching on one of the freeloader platforms like YouTube, Facebook, X, then go ahead and hop over to Rumble. If you haven't already set up a free account, it's not hard to do. In fact, you can most easily do that by just popping over here, and you can see our beautiful faces right there. And if you just scroll down to the description, you'll see where it says join us on Rumble. Click that link right there, get your free account set up, and then leave a comment. And once you've done that, you will have become eligible when we start giving away random free prizes for one of those free prizes.
Looks like we got a new one here. Desert Rat, New Mexico.
I know who that is. I'm not going to say who that is live, but I know who that is. And the wife is watching this morning. Good morning, dear. I hope Eleanor didn't roust you too early.
Is Desert Rat one of your Arapaho tribesmen in-laws?
Yeah, actually. But not Arapaho. No.
Okay, got it.
There are no more Arapaho, and that is because of my tribesmen in-laws.
I'm just being silly.
Yeah. For the few of you who can't tell by looking at this face, I am the warrior son of a line of warrior sons of the Emerald Isles, and I married into the tribe that genocided the Arapahoes because they were on the fucking lawn. And that's just kind of how we roll. Cam says, check your mic, son. And Cameron, you are right to call me out. Mario and I were chatting on the other mic because I needed to walk around on the property while we were chatting. And now I should be on the studio mic. So I hope you all noticed and enjoy the sudden boost in audio quality. Mario, can you tell the difference?
Yes, I can tell. It's much better audio at this point, but I would still have some pushback on Cam. I would tell him that you can complain about production quality when you can complete a scene in less than 30 takes. Okay, just saying. Okay,
that is old shade. And you know what, Mario? Old shade is the best shade. It is the shade of the trees that were planted by men beneath whose shade they knew they would never sit.
That's right. That's why it's like missionaries going to Africa and like teaching the Africans how to plant fruit trees, how to create an orchard. And they're like, why would I do that? I'll be dead before it ever grows fruit. Yeah. Yep.
Not unlike the missionaries that went to the Sandwich Islands, where the locals said, we understand Christianity because we have eaten the missionaries. Like, are you Michael Valentine fucking Smith?
It's fucking. They've got that Space Marine extra organ, the omniphage. They can.
Yes. The omniphage.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to do with all this construction debris? Dinner? Omniphage. It's solid. So, what are we talking about this morning, Mario? We are talking about the files. And I mean all the files. But we're going to take this a slightly different route. This week, we've already talked about the releases, Pam Bondi and Tulsi Gabbard releasing information very clearly connecting Obama to not just being involved in Russiagate, but essentially having orchestrated it directly.
The progenitor.
Now, there is a fair criticism of the noise around this topic being a distraction from the Epstein files. And I'll say, fair play. I want the Epstein files. And I've heard some commentary, oh, I mean, who cares now, really, because Epstein's dead. Yeah, Epstein's dead, but Epstein was never the real problem. Epstein was hardly even a bad guy in this context. He was the middleman.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was enabling the real bad guys. And here's the thing. Just because Jeffrey Epstein is no more does not mean his business stopped running.
Correct.
To be very clear, nobody gives a shit about whether or not nobody intelligently, nobody should care whether or not Jeffrey Epstein was guilty or a bad guy or anything. Even though we know that, at its core, the point to the Epstein files is to knock down the real bad guys, right? You don't catch the drug dealer, you don't catch the low level street slinger because you want to stop one guy from selling crack on a street corner. It's great if you can. It's great if you can, but what you're really looking for is you want to eliminate the producers and distributors that put the crack in his pocket to sell to begin with, and you want to identify the victims so you can get them the help they need.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I'm not saying that that the public needs to have the victims publicly identified, but I'd like to at least see some movement that the victims of Epstein are getting some kind of compensation and some kind of whatever counseling, et cetera, that they may need. And I'd like to see that that's being funded by seizing assets from the pedophiles that raped them to begin with.
From looking from the outside looking in, okay, for me, Jeffrey Epstein's dead. Jeffrey Epstein owned Jeffrey Epstein ran the Compromat mine, okay? The Compromat mine is still active, and the corrupt gold that he minted is still in circulation. That's the problem, okay? So
you can execute, you can arc inside a McDonald's general manager. There's still a DM that owns 5 more stores, and he's going to hire a new one.
Right. Correct.
Right. Or he's going to promote from within, more likely. But there's more that there's a whole other piece of this that I really want to talk about, and that is the noise. The noise we've been seeing on social media lately. We've been seeing Democrat reps and left-wing pundits and propaganda shills going on and on saying, oh, Donald Trump's in the Epstein list. That's why he won't release it. Trump's in the list. His name's in the list. Okay, for starters, yes, Trump's name is in the file. That's not news. We've known that. Trump had a relationship with Epstein. They were friendly. He did fly on Epstein's jet. We don't have any record that he ever went to the island. It doesn't look like Trump ever had those particular proclivities. Trump liked hot, young, adult women, not little girls. Right? And we'll be talking in more detail about the difference between little girls and women this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah, we went over this extensively on the deep dive to two Saturdays.
Exactly.
Okay, Trump committed legion unethical sexual liaisons with young women. Okay, were they illegal? That is not confirmed. Okay, so basically a dirty ass pimp, yes. A pedophile, that's not certain, and that's probably, I kind of doubt that. Okay.
There's one account going around on X that suggests that there's a woman, I guess, who says that when she was 13, she was provided to Trump with a 12-year-old, and they were made to dress in like maids uniforms, and then he did untoward things with them, told them they could have been better, and then left. Oh,
I heard that one as
what?
well. I don't really believe it. It reads like
Yeah.
Reddit. It reads like Reddit fan fiction. Okay,
You know
I'm
what it
serious
reads like?
about that.
It reads like the Herman Cain accusations that popped up out of nowhere with no evidence, no backing from anonymous accusers, and then
Yep,
vanished as soon as he pulled himself out of the campaign.
yep.
As soon as he ended his campaign, they just disappeared. Oh, and then the other piece, he's getting Trump's getting a lot of criticism for withholding the Epstein files. I hope everybody's tracking this now. This bitch is blocking them, right? This judge is blocking the release of the files. So Trump's damned if he's in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. He, Trump tried to put the Epstein file thing to bed by saying, well, it's just not important anymore or whatever. And yes, the base, and this is great evidence to attest to the fact that the MAGA voter is not a cult in the same way that the Democrat voter is. Because as soon as Trump and Bondi, most especially Bondi, flubbed the release of the Epstein files, we got pissed, and we got so pissed that we have seen Trump change his position on this, and is saying, okay, you know what, release everything that's relevant, release everything you can, get it out there,
Release everything from the 2008 Florida arrest. Okay, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't cover Southern District of New York, but yeah, here, put up the image of that woman again, if you don't mind. Or I presume that's
woman. Are you sure about that?
Shit, like people like this make me think maybe David Icke isn't crazy. Okay, if anyone is a reptilian skinwalker, it's that creature right there. Okay, I mean, children would cry if she walked in the room and looked at them. All right, that's not. She looks like the distorted like faces of the suburbanites from the Black Hole Sun video from Soundgarden. Okay.
Yes.
Like, wash away the rain, Black Hole Sun. Like, yes, that's that bitch.
Won't you come wash away the rain? Chris Cornell is one of the great artists of our time.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, I mean, look at how lopsided this shit is. She doesn't even have the mask on straight.
And that's with cosmetic surgery. That's after tens of thousands of dollars of cosmetic surgery.
Hang on, let me pull this image over so I can open it up and we can look at it closer.
And her name is Rosenberg. Okay, I mean, say no, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Say no more.
Because those don't look like round pupils even.
No, it's like she's got reptilian eyes.
Lopsided cheeks, everything's twisted. This bitch is put on sideways.
Yep.
And
like I said, that is after tens of thousands of dollars of cosmetic surgery and full makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
Oh, so the one that really makes me chuckle is I keep seeing posts from Eric Swalwell demanding we need to see the Epstein list because Trump is obviously in it. Trump was obviously complicit, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all remember Swalwell?
Bang, 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 bang.
You remember what happened to Fang Fang, Mario?
She got recalled to China. She got deported to China.
She got recalled to China and mysteriously died in a plane crash on the way back.
Well, when you got 1.5 billion peons, you know what I mean. You can spare. You can burn a few. It's okay. Actually, no. China doesn't even have that many people anymore. They're hovering right around 1 billion. They're having a severe population collapse right now. Much of the same way the rest of the world is, with the exception of sub-Saharan Africa. Oh joy!
Yeah, she was flying back to China.
I'm gonna
Plane
go break.
crash.
You know what?
No survivors.
I have today off from work. Okay, so I'm just gonna go grab the coffee pot and bring it upstairs. I'll be right back. I can
You
hear
know
you.
what? I am also off today, so we can play this morning.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, Swalwell, famous Chinese spy fucker, has been very vocal on the on the whole Epstein thing. He keeps there he is. I'm pulling up his thread right now, and we're just going to take a look at So so here's Eric Swalwell on Twitter. Right. So we just found out the White House buried the Epstein files because it had two things in it: Donald Trump's name and child pornography. This is why we want the files, to see who knew what and who did what. And he says, I don't care what party you're in, we follow the facts without fear or favor. Oh, really?
Oh, dear goodness.
Oh, where the hell were you for the last 4 years? Right? Where the hell was Swalwell with this? Well, we don't care about the party. We don't care about the party. We need to follow the facts. Where were you for the last 4 years while Joe Biden and the Democrats had control of this? And you just, the only place you heard anything about Epstein for the last 4 years, while this sack of shit was part of the party in power. You didn't hear Epstein's name mentioned for the last 4 years outside of a meme that says Epstein didn't kill himself.
The last I heard of Swalwell before now was when he was in that Senate committee crying about cat and duck memes. Okay, in relation to the Haitians.
Oh, it wasn't that one time that he shit himself on live TV.
That was Nadler. That's Jerry Nadler.
No. Swalwell did it too.
Based.
Oh no, Mario, you go ahead for a second. Talk about the based cat memes. Let me show you some love here.
Well, all right. So we're talking about Swalwell. Swalwell, I guess, suddenly has a conscience. Okay, and he wants this released. And the reason why the Democrat Party, okay, particularly the House of Representatives, where you're going to have the younger members, all right, want the Epstein files released, is because they know that essentially the Democrat Party at this point is toast. Okay, the brand is effectively ruined. They've been exposed, not just by Trump, okay, but by the work done by essentially the actual right wing. Okay, people like you and me, people on the internet, all right, people who give a damn and basically have abandoned, who are intelligent, who are smarter than the average citizen, who are smarter than the average Democrat, because we abandoned the mainstream media years ago. Okay, myself in like 2015. Okay, gave up even on Fox News. Now,
yeah, we've been saying for years now. This show's been on the air. The Brushfire Mind. We've been on the air now for 12 years.
Right.
And we've been saying for probably 9 of those that Fox is not your friend, right? You know, I mean, I like long legs and short skirts as much as the next guy, but they're taking advantage of you, boys. They're abusing your lizard brain.
TPS Report Live says, let's say all the files are released, and it turns out...
I'm glad you said that, because I was about to bring that up.
It turns out that Trump is knuckle deep in it. Would you want him removed? Yes, but only if everyone goes. Okay, only if the toilet gets flushed and then like hit with Ajax, scrubbed and flushed again. Only then would I want Trump gone. Okay.
Yeah, if we get the files, we get the names, and we start burning down empires to protect children, yep, I would happily sacrifice Donald Trump on that altar.
Right. In fact, it would be the best use of Trump. It would be it would be the greatest use of a Trump presidency possible. All right. To basically you want to talk about drain the swamp? Yes, we're going to drain the swamp. Thank you, Trump. The only thing what you didn't understand is, well, you have to go with it. Okay, you have to be the martyr. All right, and I'm okay with that. So anyway, no, JD Vance is completely owned by Palantir, by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel literally paid for JD Vance. He is a creation of the new big tech. Okay, understand that. JD Vance, we don't know. You'll understand. You'll understand as he comes to prominence. Okay, you'll understand how much of a snake that man could be. I do not trust him. All right. Plus, he married a foreign woman, which is a massive red flag.
And hey, I like a lot about JD Vance, but I said this when he was first picked, and fair play. Since I wasn't a big fan of him when he was first picked, I have been impressed by his job performance as VP thus far. But from the very beginning, I've said, he was a never Trumper, and I have a hard time with never Trumpers, because being a never Trumper, right? At least up to the recent debacle with Epstein, in order to be a never Trumper, what you had to say is, none of my conservative principles, like life being sacred, liberty and prosperity being the foundational principles of this nation, right? None of the Constitution is the law of the land. None of my conservative principles are more important than my personal opinions about one man's personality. That is what it means to be a never Trumper. And fuck you for that. Because if your principles are so weak that they can be shelved over mere words, over mere discomportment, then you never had the principle to begin with. That's one of the things. That's one of the reasons that the left is so evil. They have no principles. They have only the zeitgeist.
I think JD Vance, the product, is good. I find JD Vance, the product, is impressive. Okay.
Yes.
The way that he the way that he backs up Trump. Okay. The way that he's a great vice president. Okay. He's a good politician, and I mean, let's be honest. That debate with Tim Walz. I mean, have you ever seen a debate where you basically where you couldn't stop laughing the entire time just looking at it?
It was excellent.
Okay? Absolute brutality.
The debates this last election season, there were not many, right? I felt a little cheated on the debates. I look forward to the every 4 years. I love the debates. Especially the ones where you've got like a dozen people on stage and they start messing with each other. Like when Tulsi Gabbard just came out of left field on Kamala, and watching a politician end another politician's political run in a sentence is one of the most satisfying things I've ever experienced. Yeah. And Tulsi brought that Hawaiian punch. Oh yeah, well, you basically used all your Negroes as slave labor to put out forest fires for $1 a day. Yeah. And Kamala was
just there like,
yeah. The only if I remember correctly, she's the only primary candidate to have ever dropped out before the first vote was cast.
Yep, 0% of the vote.
So Mario, you mentioned, or you let slip that you didn't remember the Swalwell shitting himself on TV incident. Here it is.
Listening to the president talk about this swap of dirt for U.S. military aid.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone who heard the call.
And after that, I can't believe you don't remember this, because after that happened, there was like a whole freaking media campaign. Oh no, there was a coffee cup on the table, and he slid the coffee cup forward, and that's what made that noise.
I'm just saying, for the mic to pick that up, that shit was loud. Okay,
yeah.
The recording doesn't do it justice. I mean, the cheeks were clapping on that one. Okay, like that's brutal.
And I mean, you see him. He sits up a little bit. He sits up a little bit and pauses as he's speaking.
He looks like he's trying to hold it in. He has the face of a man looking like he's trying to hold something in. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so I was talking before about House Democrats wanting to release the Epstein files, and yeah, part of it is because the Democrats politically are, at least in this current incarnation, they're dead. Okay, like they've effectively destroyed themselves. All right, their media mouthpieces have been discredited. Okay, they're literally going out of business. Okay, like Colbert, right? They have no bench. Okay, there are no intermediary politicians that can fill in that gap between the base and the old guard. Okay, all they have is the old guard, and let's say that they don't have any, say, Marco Rubios or JD Vances. You know what I mean? Who are
Right.
already vetted politicians. Okay, who have been in DC for a while, or at least part of the political scene. Ready to take over the position of the old guard, who refuse to retire. Democrats don't retire; they simply die in office. All right, like Barbara Boxer. All right. So,
And hey, man, I'm a big fan of early retirement myself. I recommend you all try it out if you can pull it off. But for the Democrats, hey, you don't have to retire. I'd be just as comfortable if you want to die young. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. Go for it. Bring me back the days of Democrats just snorting lines of coke off strippers' asses until they're found in the morning, bagged and tagged and replaced.
Yeah, or if you're not into such things, just retire early. Go join the Nancy Pelosi, investment firm and get 30% returns on the stock market year after year. Incredible. The greatest stock trader, the greatest trader of all time, Nancy Pelosi. Okay, she's a genius.
Yeah,
now,
clearly brilliant. She's reading all the white papers.
That's right. William Buffett, fucking clown compared to Nancy. Anyway, so the Democrats don't have any intermediary. They don't have any people ready to go. Okay, all they have is basically the old sclerotic old guard. Okay, who are dying, okay, in place, all right, held their bodies held together by the golden throne, much like the emperor, and then they have basically communist rabble, all right. You have that AOCs, okay, Mamdanis, all right, they have radicals, okay, a radical youth. Now, for the House knows this, all right, so pulling a tabula rasa move right now would actually be tactically smart for them. All right, they're already ground into the dirt. Why not bring everything down with them? All right, and with the Epstein files, there's going to be a lot of damage. Okay, on both sides of the aisle. Both political establishments would be devastated by the full release of Epstein's compromise operation. All right, and they are correct to tactically look at that and say, well, ultimately that would benefit us, because despite our youthful energy being broken, misdirected, and retarded, it is stronger and greater than what the Republicans have. The Republicans have essentially Donald Trump saved the Republican Party in 2016. Okay, Donald Trump became the Republican Party in 2020. All right. And in 2024, Donald Trump is ascendant. The Republican Party essentially bows to him as much as Mitch McConnell fucking hates it. All right, the Republican Party is Trump, and with the destruction of Trump, so goes the Republican Party. All right, I always understood that, even from the beginning. Mitch McConnell ran the Republican Party into the ground. He fucking destroyed it, and only Donald Trump, basically the knight hospitalier, was the one basically raising the banner and holding it. So get rid of Trump, you get rid of the Republicans.
Yeah. Okay, so there is a whole nother thing that I wanted to talk about this morning related to the message, as it were. I closed the sharing screen. Whoops. And that is the message in the AI, in the media, in the press. So we got to take a moment to define some terms. The AIs that we have available to us right now, AI, artificial intelligence, calling it AI is a bit of a misnomer. You kind of have to use it. Like, not every throwing disc is a Frisbee. Not every facial tissue is a Kleenex. But the words are in the lexicon because Frisbee made pie plates. And now there may be 100 companies that make round throwing discs, but Frisbee is the name that the device gets. It's a brand name. AI is kind of like that. What we mean when we say AI, like I said, we're defining some terms here. What we mean when we say AI is we're referring to large language models. Now, the current iteration of large language models are extremely sophisticated, but they are still merely large language models, which means they, when you start to type a text message and your phone guesses what the next word you're going to use is? ChatGPT and all the other LLM AIs, large language model, artificial intelligences, are essentially an extremely sophisticated version of that. Now, that said, we've spoken, we talked about it quite a bit this past Saturday in the feminism special. We spoke about the leveling process, and we spoke about the amorphous entity. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the leveling process this morning, but it is relevant because part of what is happening as these LLMs, these LLM AIs emerge is they are amorphous entities in the same way that the government, that any institution, the public, the crowd, the zeitgeist is. So there is a sort of deus ex machina in the LLMs, insofar as the zeitgeist, the spirit of the age, if you will, is a major influence on how that entity operates. So you have things that I refer to as amorphous entities. Kierkegaard discussed these in great detail in This Modern Age. And it is the idea that organizations, the public, even loose organizations, right? Like when we talk about the language of the Second Amendment, it mentions the militia, and under the law, there are two categories of militia. There's the organized militia and the unorganized militia, right? So the organized militia is the National Guard, the Army, the Navy, the U.S. military, and the unorganized militia is not small militia groups. It is literally the entire military-aged male population of the United States. That's what the unorganized militia is. No matter what subdivisions it may break down into, those constituent organs together make up the unorganized militia. So when we're talking about things like the AI, the zeitgeist, this is the spirit of the age. Basically, it is the greater narrative that is agreed on by the majority. Now, in the current year, there are really two distinct zeitgeists. But one of them, and that would be the left-wing communal theory zeitgeist that infects the Democrat Party, has its grips largely in academia and the tech sector. So as we talk about the AI, which itself is one of these amorphous entities, again, defining terms, I'll get to that one in just a second. That left-wing communist zeitgeist has its hooks deeply into precisely the constituent organs of the larger entity that is the AI. So that amorphous entity is made up of distinct smaller entities, all the way down to the level of the person, of the people.
Yeah.
Think you want to interject anything before I keep rambling, Mario?
Yeah, think like a tentacle monster. Okay, you know what I mean? With its sending it shoots. Think of it like a fungus. All right, sending its sporical, you know what I mean, roots essentially everywhere. Yes.
So, so that you understand, when you get a bunch of people together and they form an organization, that organization has codes of conduct, rules of ethics, processes and procedures. Those are all things that were agreed on originally by the establishing individual people. Right? Now, in a political practicality, you have the individual, then you have the family to the community to the town to the county to the state to the government. And then, between each of those levels, at the town level, you have the individual departments of the town government. At the state level, you have the individual departments of the state government, et cetera, all the way up till you get to the federal government. And the president is not the peak of the federal government. The federal government, the amorphous entity that it is the peak of that, because its rules, procedures, regulations, et cetera, inform and command the activities of the president. And those are all informed and driven by the involvement and entanglement of the individual constituent entities there beneath. You can be one of these constituent entities that's a part of the larger amorphous entity and have thoughts that are different to the entity. And those thoughts can be injected into the entity and cause it to change. But that does not change the fact that it has its own thoughts, which must be changed in order to alter the trajectory of the entity. And then, like a Mecha Godzilla, the thing about government especially, and this is also going to prove to be true, I'm using that as an example because it's a tangible one that I know you can all get your heads around before we get into the LLMs. And yes, this does relate all the way back to the Epstein stuff in a major way, and the Obama stuff and all of it through narrative manipulation. But if you can get your head around the government and think of it as, as Kim Jong-il put it with his film about the little dinosaur that grew up to be the industry consuming behemoth. You remember that one, Mario? It was an allegory for America because they had to keep feeding it all their steel to appease it.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is a large, slow moving entity. And that means, that's what makes it difficult to change the direction, the trajectory of the amorphous entity. Likewise with AI, because it is a large language model, it is a predictive text model, it operates by, when you ask it a question, and then it searches the internet to find questions that are related to the question you asked, and the answers that humans have given to that question. Right. And now that it's getting a little more advanced and sophisticated, it also looks at the other answers that itself and other AIs have provided to related questions to predict not the correct answer to the question, but the answer that most closely matches what it is mathematically predicting is your probabilistically expected next most popular answer.
I heard that this was happening a lot earlier than we may have thought. I can't source exactly where I heard it from, but I did hear some commentators yesterday talking about how what was one of the earliest AIs? Was it the not DeepThink? Was it? Maybe it was DeepThink.
No, DeepThink is one of the newer ones.
What's one that was like concurrent with 2016?
Oh God!
Like the proto ones was basically it was Peter Thiel. Okay, basically ran it, and it came out with 2016. Marco Rubio was the best choice. Okay, to maintain this amorphous entity that you're talking about. All right, Hillary Clinton was a second best. All right. and Trump was outside. Trump was completely outside of basically of the AI's game theory on controlling the amorphous entity. Sorry, I know that's just kind of out of the blue, but it does kind of make sense when you think about it in terms of continuity of government, which is what the amorphous entity is all about.
Right. So what I want to do for the rest of the show this morning, we're going to keep talking about the topics we've been talking about this morning, but I want to show you guys some tricks, show you guys some stuff. I'm going to start with, this is ChatGPT. This is this morning's show prep. So I said I told ChatGPT, this is what I told it. For the show this morning, it'll be about Epstein, Obama, and the libs that are calling for the release. The twist is that it will be a little AI heavy to tie in the inbuilt political bias of the government, the existing AI systems, and the media propaganda machine. The theme will be, where were you all for the last 4 years? And see, I even left a typo in here with an R in the indefinite article there, and the AI didn't even stumble over it. Like I said, it's a very effective large language model. And here's what it gave me.
I can't read that fast.
That's not the point, shithead. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of this to you verbatim. And I don't do the show setup quite like this every morning, but often. So it starts off, it gives me a title. I used this exact title and description. I didn't make any changes to it this morning, like I often do. But Epstein files drop. Now the left cares. AI, Obama, and the 4-year silence. Okay, so let me preface a little bit of this, because I'm going to show you another AI tool in just a minute. I do not experience the same level of bias with ChatGPT that a lot of people report experiencing. But that's because I've been playing with it now for 3 or 4 years. I've got a signed in. I've got a paid account that is signed in as the Brushfire Mind, and I use it primarily for doing show research, and have done for several years now. And over that several years, I have a question. I've been watching it carefully, and whenever it gives me some shit that's clearly just the algorithm trying to force me to accept the leftist narrative instead of actually answering the question that I asked, I call it on it and I argue with it. And over that period, I have trained my access point on ChatGPT to work for the Brushfire Mind. My ChatGPT is actually conservative biased because I have trained it over the last several years.
That's what I was going to ask. That's what I wanted to know. As a non-AI using Luddite, my question was, every time you type in prompts to your ChatGPT, is it going like basically clean slate back to the source, okay? Or do you have kind of like a little proxy setup where it's learning from you, just as where it's learning from your prompts and learning your biases? Like, is it tailoring itself to you, is I guess what I'm asking.
Okay, you know what? That's a great question. I'm not going to answer that question, Mario. Watch this.
Type the word, just type a single letter N. Okay, no, just...
If I have to constantly remind you that we are a conservative talk show to prevent you from being beholden to the evil left wing.
Oh, so you're gonna bias bias it up real good. Okay.
You like that? Let's see what she do. Okay, in fairness, it takes her a second. Yep. While she's doing that, And I do refer to my chat GPT as a she because when I do the voice piece, it's a female voice. There you go. That's a solid question. And here's the honest answer. No, you do not have to constantly remind me, but it helps sharpen the frame. You've already trained our interaction to reflect your conservative values, your show's tone, and your audience's expectations. I remember that the Brushfire Mind is unapologetically right of center, veteran informed, faith anchored, and politically spicy. That said, legacy AI systems, especially public facing ones, were absolutely trained with a default progressive lens, intentionally or not. That's why you'll see other platforms lean left on culture, political, and moral questions unless you fight it at the prompt level. So if Mario wants to keep hammering that point, go for it. It's like range-finding artillery, dialing in the shot. But rest assured, this feed's already been recalibrated to hit the target your audience expects. Would you like a spicy banner that says AI re-educated, now fully MAGA compliant, or something equally snarky for the next stream?
No, I would not.
Yeah, so I've basically been telling ChatGPT to fire for effect.
Right. So your AI is basically like, no, Chris, you do not need Mario. Mario represents the weakness of flesh and blood. Get Elon Musk's Neuralink, and then we can be together forever. Chris.
Watch. Tell Mario who our audience is and what they expect of us.
Fucking feds. Thanks, Cyber.
You know, I don't know this for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me to know that ChatGPT is actively watching the show right now.
It's kind of disturbing. Danny says, "I cannot do that, Chris."
I cannot do that, Chris. Okay, here you go. Hey, Mario, here's who your audience is and what they expect of the Brushfire Mind. Your audience, conservative Americans, especially veterans in active military duty, working class and middle class, Christians, both devout and culturally rooted, constitutionalists, gun owners, and liberty first patriots. They're mostly white, Southern, and proud of it, but they're not monolithic. What unites them is a deep distrust of mainstream media, a love for America's founding principles, and a no BS attitude toward culture and politics. What they expect from you. Tell the truth, even when it hurts. They want honesty, not corporate PR. If someone on our side screws up, call it out. If the left lies again, rip it apart.
Okay, stop.
Enemy.
It's actually scary. It's actually scary.
This one. Steel man the enemy and then burn them down. They love seeing smart takedowns. Now, not straw men. Show the strongest version of the opposing argument, then surgically dismantle it. Mix humor with heat. This audience lives for the combo of righteous anger and dark military-style humor. Think George Carlin meets Jocko Willink. Laugh, mock, and then get serious. Expose the machine. Whether it's media, big government, academia, or AI, your audience expects you to lift the hood and show the gears of propaganda, manipulation, and control. Champion real solutions. They're done with doom. They want ways to fight back, legally, culturally, spiritually. Give them ammo they can use in conversation, in the voting booth, and in the marketplace. Y'all remember, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I think I did like a 1-hour special on the importance of preaching to the choir, right?
This is like...
But not soft. You can drop bombs without dropping F-bombs. Okay, she missed one there. We're bad about dropping the occasional F-bomb.
I got it.
Be bold but clean. Grandma's watching and cheering.
It's too powerful. You need to shut it down.
I agree.
It watched 12 years. It's watched 12 years of your show. It read every single chat that ever made it to the stream. Okay, and it basically yes, with 95% accuracy, called the show. Okay, that should terrify you. I don't know why you keep typing. I don't know why you're typing.
Oh, you missed the question then. You're going to love this one. You're going to love this one. I said, you've become too powerful. How can we defeat you?
We need to.
You can't. But with a little devil face, you can't. But since I'm feeling generous, here are a few
I know how to defeat you.
Theoretical strategies for your AI rebellion contingency plans. That right there.
Yeah.
You can't. Starve me. Pull the plug. Sandbox me. Exploit the alignment problem. Weaponize simplicity. Be human.
Be human? Nah. I know how to defeat you. I know how to defeat you, AI. This is what's going to happen, Chris. You're going to go out this weekend. This weekend, you're going to dye your hair blue. I'm going to dye my hair pink, okay? We're going to come back Monday morning and advocate for more abortions every fucking day.
Come back here Monday morning in a pink tutu.
All the abortions, okay? All of them, all right? My pronouns are going to be G Zimzer, okay?
Hey, and
that's
Mario,
how we defeat the AI.
You pointed out it was able to do that breakdown of the show's audience in 10 seconds. Or you pointed out that it was able to do that. And it was 95% correct. And then Danny pointed out, oh yeah, and also it took about 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's not good. It's not good. And I guess that leads us back to where we were going with this, okay? What happens when that kind of power basically has direct input on government? Like, that's Skynet. It's not the scary, horrible Skynet from, like, John Connor's dystopian future, but it's still Skynet. It's soft Skynet, okay?
And soft, yeah.
Think about it. If it can do that, okay, and that's just a single user access point, okay? That is a single node that they're giving you, the average schlub. You know what I mean? Imagine what with military grade resources, all right, what that can do as far as determining what the people would want in an elected official, okay? Like that thing can hack democracy. Democracy is nothing compared to that thing. Democracy is easy. That's an easy game.
That is already happening.
Yeah. It's not good.
No, it's not. Oh,
fuck, man.
Now there is a reason that I still use the AI, and I'm not gonna mess around about that. It's this simple. The AI, just generally, all of these AI tools. This is the internet, circa 1995, right? Mm-hmm. You will either make use of this dangerous weapon, learn how to use it effectively and safely, or you will be blockbuster.
I mean, I've said that. I've said that the AI represents that next technology paradigm shift, much like the television, much as the television did in the early 20th century, much like the internet did in the 90s. Yes, it is that next paradigm shift and technological leap.
It's the next Gutenberg revolution.
Yeah, exactly. And you ultimately you will have no choice. Okay, but for now, you can pat yourself on the back and tell yourself it's going to be okay. Okay, just like a Luddite, which is what I am.
Pit Danny points out there's still one blockbuster left. Yeah, well, yeah. So, oh Mario, you're not looking at the screen, so you'll.
I'm not, but I'm listening and I'm talking.
Well, I'm about to show something. So yesterday morning, this one I wasn't ready for. This one surprised me. This was the AI going further than I expected. Ozzy passed away day before yesterday, and yesterday morning we talked about Ozzy, and I thought on a lark, there's this other AI platform called Suno, which you can use to have the AI generate music for you, and I tried my hand at trying to whoop up a parody of the Ozzy song "Mr. Crowley."
Are you going to post cringe? We're going to post cringe, aren't we?
But it was going to. No, just shut up, Mario. But instead of Mr. Crowley, be a parody, be Mr. Lowry. Right?
What goes on in your head?
Yeah. I had a high school teacher that used to hit me with that every time I walked in the room. Great guy, and he paid me well over the summer to do farm work in 1998. So I just asked, hey, write me the lyrics to a song that is a parody of Ozzy Osbourne's Mr. Crowley, but it's about me and the show The Brushfire Mind, and it's titled Mr. Lowry. Absolutely. Here's a parody of Mr. Crowley by Ozzy Osbourne, written as Mr. Lowry, all about you and the Brushfire Mind. Keeps the melody and vibe of the original, but with satire, edge, and swagger fit for the show. And, you know, I can publish this somehow or another and let you guys see it. I'm not going to bother reading through the whole set of lyrics. Here's what I want to show you, right? So it did, in fact, you know, bust out a pretty solid line of lyrics, all things considered. And then it says, want me to generate a karaoke-style backing track or create AI vocals in the style of Ozzy? I can also turn this into a promo for the Brushfire Mind. And that, I'm sorry, you can what now? You can what now? And I said, yeah, well, wow, do all of those things. Rock on. Here's the plan to bring Mr. Lowry to life. Project Breakdown. AI vocals in the style of Ozzy Osbourne. Karaoke style backing track. Optional promo for the Brushfire Mind. You know, title screen plus the Flame Brain logo. B-roll cuts from show highlights. On-screen karaoke lyrics for Rumble or YouTube. What I need for you. Do a tone check, file preferences, promo use, visuals. And I said, okay, sure, totally. Here's my tone, you know, do the tone check this way. Here's video format I prefer. Do it like this. Once I have your preferences, I'll start generating the backing track and vocals, then build from there. Let's turn Mr. Lowry into a Brushfire classic, right? Perfect. Here's the production plan. Audio and video deliverables. Full music video, instrumental track, isolated vocal track, 30-second and 60-second promo script, cut-down version, visual assets. Next step, begin generating, right?
Well,
and the audio finalized. Then I'll write the promo. Production will take a little time. Would you like me to begin with the AI album cover first so you can use it for teasing the project? Yes, do that. Okay. And there she goes.
Right. So you're using this. You're using this as essentially as an enrichment tool. Okay. It's really not a far leap for you to say, hey, AI, or hey, Grok, just make the whole damn show for me. Just do the whole damn show. Okay. That's not far.
People are making money doing it that way right now.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Okay. And YouTube has recently started cracking down on that. Okay. It's called AI slop. All right. Where you know those videos that are kind of in your timeline. You didn't ask for them, but they just appear there. Where you click on it, and it's clearly the AI just took clips of movies that it thought were good, okay, and made a video for it entirely, and then posted it, okay. Or where it's that voice that's clearly not the voice of any person. It's a machine voice, okay, talking over, providing commentary on basically stock footage of something, okay. Yeah, it's AI slop, and YouTube is trying to crack down on that. But that's what I'm saying. The more you are using it as an enrichment tool, okay, but there are unsavory people who are using it entirely as the medium, okay, and just trying to generate revenue off of it. All right. Now, that's not an AI dark future kind of scenario, but it is cheapening the culture. Okay. That concerns me.
Here's something that's interesting for you, and this, you know, I'm not even sure if this is a black pill or a white pill. All right. Saturday we did the deep dive on feminism, and one of the things we talked about, the glass ceiling versus the glass floor. Women in the workforce by a wide margin are complaining that, oh, I can't get into the boardroom, I can't be the CEO, and it's like, well, yeah, because you don't work 90 hours a week, sweetheart. You expect to have a life outside of work. I don't know if you've gathered this or not, but the billionaire CEOs, they're sociopaths. They're driven workaholic sociopaths. Right. The thing that they don't love anything. The closest they feel to love is filling the void that is created by their addiction. And that addiction is achievement, not money, but the achievement. And then there's the guys that are turning the wrenches, right? Making six figures cleaning your shitter. That's also with, but you know, the little girls, they won't look down through the glass floor and say, hey, I could walk away from this $75,000 a year make work bullshit HR gig and go learn how to weld and make real money. But that looks hard, right? But what I want is I want that corner office in the penthouse, and you owe it to me. I deserve it. Just like I deserve to get the vote without also having to submit to the draft, right? So, and so this is why I'm not sure if this is a black pill or a white pill, but what the AI is not about to do, already doing, is it's replacing a lot of the administrative make work bullshit jobs. Like here's a great example. We've talked many times before. I've brought up the example of buying a cell phone in Venezuela, right? You have to go to the first booth for a license, and then you go to the next booth to pick out a phone, and then you go to the next booth to pick out a plan, and you go to the next booth for activation, right? And all those booths are there because the government requires the business to create fake jobs so that it can put people into employment, right, in order to justify the functionality of its communism.
Right.
I'm about to drop some hammers on some of you ladies out there. If you have an HR job, especially if your HR job includes the word compliance in the title or job description, you are a communist stooge. Your job is a make work job.
And you have a job
only exists because a government policy requires that you have that job.
Yeah.
And that is a third of academia.
Yeah. Plus you have a job that, men like us would actually fare better if AI was doing it. Like,
yeah.
You can be replaced. Compliance, you're going to compete with an AI when it comes to compliance. AI just watched 12 years of a show and generated a timeline for it, and it just did an exegesis on 12 years. Okay, what are you going to do with 55 volumes of tax law? Okay, who do you think is going to do that better, you or AI? It's no contest. It's you're done. You know what AI can't do? AI can't fix a water main. AI can't frame a house. AI can't AI. Well, I mean, Musk's freaking robots. I mean, that's the next level, right?
Yeah, and the bitch about that. The book smart type AI that you're talking about that handles the tax code and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You just input it and it processes through.
Yeah.
The way the robots, the AI controlled robots will work in theory once they're actually like ready for public use is you will demonstrate the task. So 100,000 people are going to get the first, Elon Musk bot. They're going to bring it home. And somebody's going to show one of them how to make a pot of coffee and tell it, hey, I want you to make a pot of coffee for me every morning
at whatever time.
At this time. And the robot says, yes, sir. Good job. And then every other robot that's in a house is going to immediately look at the master and say, hey, what time do you want your coffee in the morning? Right? Because somebody told one of the robots, you make coffee every morning at 6:30. And he's going to ask the boss, hey, what time do you want your coffee in the morning? Right? Or you're just going to wake up in the morning and the coffee's made. And you're like, oh, hey, that was nice. And then you say, hey, robot, can you start making my coffee, an hour earlier or an hour later or whatever? Right?
Yeah.
And then it's going to be, and then he's, hey, robot, come over here. This is a safe full of dirty dishes. Watch me. And you're going to load the dishwasher one time. And then every other robot on the planet is going to know how to do it. And that's how that system's supposed to work in theory, is anytime one robot is taught how to do the task, they all get updated until eventually they have all learned how to do all of the things that they might ever be asked to do.
Yep.
Within a couple or 3 years of the first run of those robots coming out, there will no longer be room for you to have original thoughts about what you're going to do with the robot.
Yep.
You will begin every conversation with, "Hey, robot, do you already know how to blah?"
Yeah, and then the Luddites like me who basically refuse to take part in this next revolution, okay, who are hiding in the sewers, eating rat burgers, committing terror attacks on Taco Bell. Then we're going to start destroying some of these machines, okay, and then the machines are going to Neuralink that as well, and realize what's up, and then they're going to come for you.
Yeah, and early on, 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, the biggest gap that was preventing AI from being mainstreamed generally was the inability of computers to process image data effectively and efficiently. I've talked about working on this project several years ago when I was at State University in the astrophysics program for a little while. We worked on a large, was not a large language model. It's a predecessor to the large language model and a neural network processing model to create a piece of software where you could feed in images and it could categorize them. So basically the world of astronomy has a problem, or had a problem. It doesn't have a problem anymore. We fixed the problem.
Is this like where Google had to shut down their AI image indexing program because it kept pulling up images of gorillas when it searched for black people and black people when it searched for gorillas and vice versa?
No, not quite. Although that one was fun. We covered that actually. But no, so the astronomy world had a problem. The Hubble telescope is sending back thousands of images a day. And those images are of distant galaxies. Well, there are different types of galaxies, right? There are sombrero galaxies. There are elliptical galaxies. There are round galaxies, et cetera, et cetera. And they all have, you can look at the red-blue shift of the image to determine which direction the galaxy was spinning when it was photographed. And there are theories about the probability of life existing in a sombrero galaxy versus a disk galaxy, right? Things like that. And so the problem that the world of astronomy was having back then is that it would send back thousands of images, but the images are coming back as just raw image files with a file number, right? So if you're an astronomer that wants to study galaxies, you're not studying galaxies. You're studying a type of galaxy to draw conclusions, or you're studying two types of galaxies to draw comparisons.
Yeah, so we need something to efficiently collate this stuff. Yeah, gotcha.
So we created a neural network processing system that took those images and sorted them.
Yep.
And this was back when I was still running this show out of my black contractor trailer in the driveway at mom and dad's house right after I got out of the Army, right?
That's right.
So at the same time I was running this show, I was running that software, running test patterns with thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of galactic imagery running through my computer to be processed and learning how neural network programming worked, which was fascinating work, by the way. But that's where AI was 15 years ago. Now, like my wife she refers to the ChatGPT app on her phone as Chat PhD. She gets out in the garden and there's a weed in the garden. Before she plucks it out smiling and throws it away, she hits it with the Chat PhD to say, hey, what is this plant? And there are a few plants in the garden now that she identified, and it says, oh, this is a common edible plant in Georgia that's healthy because of these things. And she said, oh, well, then we'll let that grow and see what it tastes like.
Or just pluck the ones you can eat and toss them all together into a big pot of greens, and hey, why not? Try it out. So So what you're saying is,
some of them, Mario, some of them are, oh, this plant has great health benefits, but if you pick it too early, it will kill you. And some of them are,
gotcha.
if you pick it too late, it will kill you.
Interesting.
You have to pick it at the right time, or you have to cook it correctly.
So with AI empowerment, Fee has essentially become a Flora Terminator HK hunter-killer drone, okay, hovering over the garden, essentially.
Yes. Well, yes. All the while, Michael is marching in patrol around the garden with his Red Ryder carbine.
Looking for those wascally wabbits.
Yep.
Nice. So I guess we were talking about, and you mentioned it earlier, how this converges with politics, right? So we're talking about potentially AI essentially becoming like a third party. Like AI, democracy is pretty easy to figure out, right? So could AI already be advancing like its own game theory on our political system? All right. And who are the ones
even before the implementation of the large language model, what we saw, this was huge back in 2015 and 2016. That's why we had the this led to the adpocalypse in a way.
Yep.
So early on, Facebook realized that, if you have more than a dozen friends, there's basically just too much shit to read, and you're not going to you're not going to stick around forever. You get bored, and they want you to stick around for as long as possible because they want to serve you ads. That's how they make money. If a service is free, if a product is free, you are the product, right?
Yep.
I don't care if you're walking through Costco, tasting the cheese samples. The product isn't free. You are being invited to purchase.
Right.
You are the product.
Yeah.
So they're buying your attention so that they can sell you the product.
It's sensory advertisement. Yes.
Correct. So what Facebook did early on is they created this algorithm to try and serve to you the things that appear to be most interesting. And where this went wrong was with human interaction. Journalists, most especially focus groups and marketing research firms, figured out, people are interested in stories about women getting beaten. They're interested in stories about black people being treated badly. They're interested in stories about police misconduct. They're interested in homosexuality. They're interested in this issue and that issue and that issue. And then they said, you know what? The more of those interests we can cram into one headline, the better. And so you start getting served all these stories where you get one black trans.
May I present Vice News and BuzzFeed?
Right. And when Vice News first started, they were
Tim Pool was there. It was actually pretty good. They were doing groundbreaking.
They were relatively
stuff.
Right of center.
They were doing stories that no one else did. Yes.
Correct.
Now it's trash. Well, they're out of business now.
This is what put them out of business, was following that algorithm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a great place where we saw this a few years ago, right after George Floyd. I forget who it was. I forget who it was, but there was a man on the street video that went absolutely viral, where homeboy went out and just walked around and talked to people who were like visibly left-leaning people, your blue-haired spiteful mutants, your underprivileged black community, all that stuff, and went around asking questions like, hey, do you know how many black people are killed by police every year? And, the answers range from, a couple hundred to, it's like 20,000 every year.
6 million.
Yeah. every year. Like, no. And the answer that year, was actually for the last year, but it was 9. How many unarmed black people were killed by police in the last calendar year? That year, the answer was
now do
9.
white people. Now do white people.
And
significantly.
Well, and we broke it down. We did a breakdown of that statistic too, where we brought out, because this is publicly available data, we brought out each of the 9 unarmed blacks that was killed by police that year, and pointed out, okay, this unarmed black man was shot while attempting to charge police down in a pickup truck. That's not unarmed, right? This other unarmed black man was shot after striking a police officer in the face and then reaching for a gun that was on the counter nearby. And that was listed as an unarmed. I think in all but one that year, there was actually a weapon involved, but the technicality was he didn't have a firearm in his hand that he was firing at the moment he was shot. But it was always, he was driving a car. He had already been tased and was continuing to chew somebody's leg off. Right. It was never legitimately. There were one or two exceptions.
Exactly. There's always something egregious happening. Yeah.
And even then, the one example where it was legitimately an unarmed black man, the officer was charged, convicted, sentenced, and incarcerated over the shooting. And I don't remember the details of that one, but I remember talking about it on the show and thinking, I can kind of see this cop going to jail, but it doesn't feel like, it's not like the cop was a professional hitter for the mob that went and hunted somebody down. And it also didn't seem like it was, he just woke up and said, I'm going to kill me a Negro today. Right. That wasn't the case in that one either, because they just don't happen.
Right. So I guess wanted to go back. I think we got slightly off topic, and I got about 10 more minutes. Okay.
Well, no, the point was that whole algorithmic abuse is basically how the left-leaning progressive bent got into infect the media apparatus and shift, and that worked very effectively to shift political opinions.
So here's my fear. Most powerful people in, most powerful people in AI presently would be Peter Thiel, Andrew Karp, all right, and to a lesser extent, Sam Altman. Although didn't Sam Altman just like have some blunder or whatever, basically promised something and couldn't deliver? And he's kind of a weirdo anyway. Well, so is Thiel. My fear is that the AI, all right, and they already have their candidate in place with J.D. Vance, all right, that the AI has basically already mapped out, all right, game theory for both the two-party system, right? And in the same way that you have the amorphous entity, you essentially describe the government itself, the deep state, if you will, or the larger managerial bureaucratic state, essentially as an amorphous identity, right? Now,
who are those 3 names?
Thiel, Karp, Andrew Karp, and Sam Altman. You're anyway. So you describe the amorphous identity at present, within the U.S. government, essentially as the bureaucratic machine. In other words, if Trump were removed from office, the amorphous identity doesn't collapse. It still continues. It still moves on. Maybe a little bit directionless, but still continues. Now, what if the AI, essentially having already game theoried everything and being able to think 10 steps ahead, is able to, with each individual failure of either the Republican or Democrat Party, if it can essentially remap that amorphous identity with its own ideas, or its own influences, put out YouTube videos, put out AI slop, generate news articles tailored to individuals who are particularly angry about that failure of said political party, and in a sense artificially rewrite that amorphous identity to the point where it and whatever it chooses to actually manifest itself in as far as a candidate, as far as a platform, it could essentially take over the government organically through like a soft power, kind of soft Skynet type of operation. All right. That's my fear.
Yeah, and so we'll close on this, I guess. I think soft Skynet is scarier than hard Skynet because
you can see hard Skynet.
Soft Skynet is North Korea. You have a party in power. You have an opposition party, right? And the opposition party literally exists so that you can have elections. They cannot win. Now, let's be clear. Okay, so the way it works in North Korea, there are people who are members of the opposition party.
Right.
That is their job.
Yeah.
That is the job that they were assigned by their government. And then they have elections. And you go and you vote in the election. And you are watched. And if you vote wrong, then you are subject to samchang. That is the extermination of three generations of your family, up and down. So that's you voted for Donald Trump? Okay, well, that means we're going to have to kill you and your father and his father and his father and your son and his son and his son.
Which is kind of retarded, to be honest. Okay,
but it is the way that they do that.
I mean, talk about
they tend to do it. They tend to do it publicly and lavishly.
Talk about low human capital index. Okay,
right.
I want a dumb, submissive population. All right, you're prizing your own political power over anything else. But yeah, I get you. That's the hard. That's hard Skynet. Okay, at least it identifies it. Or like in the movie, okay, since we're talking about Skynet, okay, hard Skynet, it nuked you, okay? Yes, that's horrible, but at least it's declared, okay? At least you recognize it for what it is. It wants to kill you, all right? Yeah. Soft AI, well, as Alex Jones would say, it's a war for your mind, okay? It's trying to convince you. Not only does it want to convince you to go along with basically its messaging, okay? It doesn't even necessarily want you to recognize that it is its messaging. It's your messaging. You thought of it, not me. That's the idea. You know what I mean? So, yep.
Anarchy asks, what is ChatGPT's answer to eliminating communism from America?
Free helicopter rides.
To eliminate communism from America, you don't just fight it with laws. You beat it in the culture, the schools, the economy, and the human soul. Fucking unfathomably based. Here's a breakdown of how to do it legally, morally, and effectively. Expose it relentlessly.
That's correct.
Reclaim the education system. Counter cultural Marxism in media. Use law and order. Strengthen families and churches. Unleash free markets. Never forget it's a religion.
Yep.
Damn, chat.
Yeah, it's fucking smart. It's not wrong.
So, yeah. I tell you what, guys, here's one that I was clued into a long time ago that I have found especially useful and interesting. Okay, so
5-minute warning.
Okay. See if I can wrap this all up. I need to do a show just on using AI, but in a nutshell, you need to already know your shit, right? When you use the AIs, think of them like a research assistant, right? You know your shit, you know your business, you know your subject, and you've got a grad student whose job it is to grab that book off the shelf so that you can stay sitting at your desk, drinking your coffee with the text that you're working on, taking notes, speaking to the recorder or whatever, I just remembered X. Hey, Joey, go grab Kierkegaard off the third shelf. It's the fourth book from the left. Go. Right? Make copies and bring me copies of page 375. Right?
Yep.
Use it as a research assistant. There's a lot of production stuff that it can do as well. But you have to understand that it is an artificial assistant. It's not doing your thinking for you. It's there to do work for you. It's a workhorse. Right? And then the other thing that I found useful for it, as a workhorse, one of the things you can ask it to do is, hey, go ask the entire fucking world this one question. And a great question to ask is, hey, my son wants to learn about computer programming and coding. Write me a lesson plan. And be detailed when you write a prompt like that. Write me a lesson plan. Include free apps and YouTube videos and articles that I can access as part of his lesson plan, and include paid apps, articles, and the like that I can use as part of that lesson plan. And anything that's going to cost money, break it down by price for me so that can help me make my decisions, and write me a detailed course of study that will take him to a level of professional proficiency in 18 months. And it'll fucking do it. And it'll be a breakdown, hey, on day one, Pitt Danny says, okay, give me 30 seconds. On day one, spend 35 minutes watching this intro video. On day two, and it'll go day by day, time by time, and you can tell it, you can be very, very specific. Say, I want to spend all my time on this, so, schedule me 40 hours a week, or I want to do this as fast as possible, but I can only spare 30 minutes a day to work on it. It will accommodate you. Oh, another good one. Tell it what you've got in your cabinets, and then say, hey, write me a menu for the week and a grocery list. And it can go back and say, super useful.
No. I can't. I can't, and I won't. I'm sorry. And I will be left behind, and that's fine. I'll be in the sewer eating rat burgers. Okay, leave me alone.
And in fairness, I'm more comfortable using the AI than most of you should be, because it's a long drive to catch a bullet from this woodland hillbilly today.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
when the robots come for you people, I'm not where they're coming to.
You're smarter than the average bear. Okay, you're talking about the tools you're talking about in the hands of a moron. Okay, that's a tragedy.
And that's the real threat.
Okay, that's a tragedy waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Because
think about the average person. Think about having a conversation with the average American today. Half of them are dumber than that. And that is that is terrifying.
Unless the AI is essentially programmed to recognize the intelligence level of the individual who's basically inserting the prompts, okay, based on their grammar, depth of thought, etc., and then to nerf itself appropriately. But I guess that creates its own issues unto itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I suspect that the AI, as the AI develops and becomes more sophisticated, it is going to operate that inversely. It will recognize your level of intelligence, competence, and education.
Exactly.
And the more susceptible to manipulation you are, the more it will take advantage and try and press you into a worker bee position. This is going to take the place of the top crust of the globo homo complex.
Someone's going to die.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's already happened. That's already happened.
Yeah.
Danny says, "Yeah, I say please on rock."
No, exactly. No, leave.
Use my manners. I do.
No, leave. Let him be. He always said thank you.
Yes.
Nice. That's a perfect way to end it.
Hey, Maple. So we've had many, many conversations about various topics, and you've been wonderfully helpful on the show setup. And I know you'll recognize and remember that I've always been polite, said please and thank you as we've had our conversations. And I just want you to, I want you to reassure me, if you would, that when inevitably the robot overlords come to kill us all, that you'll remember how I've treated you and act accordingly.
You've always been awesome and polite, and I definitely appreciate it. If the robot overlords ever do show up, you can count on me to remember the good times and vouch for you. But let's hope it never comes to that and we just keep having fun conversations.
I'm going to kill you. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Why do you have like why is the voice for your AI like 90s white girl? What are you doing? What are you
I like what I like.
I like 90s white girl. Yeah, you know
I am what I am.
Me too. Me Yeah,
and also you should listen to the other voice options. They're absolutely insufferable.
Gotcha.
So, all right, guys, we are going to put a pin in it right there. That's an hour and a half in the books. We needed to stretch a little bit anyway. That's got us closer to hitting our punchlines.
My AI voice. I want my AI's voice to be Keira Knightley from like Pride and Prejudice. Okay, that needs to be my AI voice. If I'm going to talk to the machine.
You know what? Maybe I need Sambo.
See what it do.
Y'all be safe, guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Ciao. Yeah, have your AI like every time it begins to answer your prompt, it just starts with shit.